I'm Mike Bazinet, Director of Public Affairs for the National Shooting Sports Foundation. We're here today at Elite Shooting Sports in Manassas, Virginia, to show some of the news media the truth and some of the misconceptions about firearm suppressors.
So, biggest misconception that I've heard is that everybody thinks that it's going to make the firearm completely silent, which is just not true. What it's doing is it's regulating the gas that's coming out the end of the barrel, so there's not that big explosion, concussive overpressure happening, but it still sounds like a gunshot.
A lot of people, their only exposure to silencers or sound suppressors is from the media, from Hollywood movies, television, and that's not the most accurate representation of how the product actually works. A gun muzzle blast is an extremely loud event. A sound suppressor dampens that to some extent, but it does not completely eliminate it. So it's still a loud event. For 5.56, an unsuppressed gunshot can range anywhere from 165 decibels to 175 decibels, which is significantly louder than a jet engine at takeoff. Suppressed, the gun report is attenuated to somewhat less than 140 decibels, but is still louder than a jackhammer in a lot of cases. So it's more comfortable and safer for the shooter, but it does not eliminate the gunshot entirely.
Basically, let's go back to how OSHA talks about hearing safe. For an impact noise like a gunshot, it's 140 decibels. A 5.56 rifle, like one of them that we were shooting today, is around 163 to 165 decibels. So it's far and above past that hearing safe. So one shot unsuppressed with that firearm without hearing protection on will cause irreversible damage on your hearing. You have little hairs inside of your ear that once you fracture those, there's no growing it back. There's no fixing it. So a lot of shooters, like myself included, if I'm in a really quiet room where you're just basically hearing your own thoughts, my left ear sounds like crickets. And it's because those little hairs are rubbing into each other and banging around. It's called tinnitus. So that's a permanent and irreversible hearing damage. So it's one of those things that just makes sense. My favorite thing about working in the suppressor division now is seeing that aha moment, seeing that light bulb go off in somebody's head. When you bring them out to the range, and a lot of people say, well, I don't think I need one. I don't know why people need them, this, that, and the other thing. And you bring them out to the range and have them shoot suppressed for their first time, and that light bulb goes off in their head, and they're like, okay, this just totally makes sense. It's way more pleasant for everybody else around you. You don't go home at the end of the day feeling like your head's pounding because of that overpressure and concussive blast. Just a much better thing for people, and especially for new shooters. A lot of new shooters have that fear of that gun going off, the recoil, the muzzle flash, that big explosive sound. If you take all of that out of it and add into the fact that I don't have to yell at you over hearing protection in order for me to give you instruction, it takes the whole stress level down inside the room. So it's a much better learning experience for a new shooter at that point.
A lot of people don't realize that silencers and sound suppressors are legal to own currently. They're covered under the NFA, which has a lot of paperwork and a long lead time associated with it. But it's still a product that in 42 states is available for a civilian to purchase. Bringing it under the purview of standard firearms purchase does not make a sound suppressor just something that you can go into Walmart and walk out with without any paperwork. It's still a regulated item, but it takes some of the lead time out of that and allows shooters to have access to something that is essentially a safety device. It's not something that would necessarily make it easier for a criminal to commit a crime, and it's not something that is something that would be easier for them to have access to than, say, a standard firearm. So it adds bulk. It does not completely eliminate the report of gunfire. It's not something that there's a lot of incentive to use it in that capacity.